Opa, eu não vi vocês aí. Você sabe o que é fascismo?
Você não sabe, nem eu.
Venha comigo aprender. Fascismo, regime autoritário, criado na Itália, que deriva da palavra italiana fácil, que remetia para uma aliança ou federação. Originalmente, o fascismo foi um movimento político fundado por Benito Mussolini em 23 de março de 1919, e no seu início era composto por unidades de combate. O fascismo foi apresentado como partido político em 1921. Desde essa altura, a palavra fascista é usada para mencionar uma doutrina política.
Continue. Vai. Do início.
O fascismo foi apresentado como partido político em 1921. Desde essa altura, a palavra fascista é usada para mencionar uma doutrina política com tendências autoritárias, anticomunistas e antiparlamentares, que defende a exclusiva autossuficiência do Estado e suas ações. Trata-se de um movimento antiliberal que atua contra as liberdades individuais.
The darkest pages of history were undoubtedly written between the world wars, after the absurd butchery of 1914-1918, and using the fear inspired by the Bolshevik Revolution, some leaders instituted a new authoritative political and social order, dictatorship. The phenomenon occurs and develops in two countries, Italy and Germany. First Mussolini, then Hitler, flatter their countrymen's basest impulses, manipulate crowds, preach violence, favor brute strength over human rights, and seize power whilst dreaming of world conquest. By the time the Western powers realized the danger looming over Europe, due to their weakness, indecisiveness, mistakes, and cowardice, it will be too late to avoid the maelstrom, in which civilization will come close to disappearing. Eight and a half million men die in the war, and in 1919, Europe is in ruins. The Versailles Treaty compromises future peace and resolves no problems. It merely widens the breach between the victors and the vanquished. The Germans claim they've been stabbed in the back, and the Italians describe a mutilated victory. And the Italians are the first to resort to weapons. Through speeches more than by his writing, the poet Gabriele D'Annunzio understands how to exploit his countrymen's nationalistic feelings. Leading his shocked troops, the Arditi, he takes Fiume, a town placed under the control of the Allies. He establishes an authoritarian corporatist state which will inspire the leader of fascism. This is the movement's future leader, Benito Mussolini, a former socialist militant. He creates the Fasci in 1919, which are fighting units. Fascism is less a doctrine than a concerted violent action in view of seizing power. And power is there for the taking after a series of successive strikes. Italy is virtually headless. The advent of communism is either expected or feared by the population. Violence breaks out in the streets in Milan and Turin in the Fiat factories. The fascists break the strikes, upheld by industrialists and landowners. Neither the army nor the government react. Mussolini uses the circumstances intelligently. He erases the revolutionary aspects of his program and sends his black shirts off against anything vaguely resembling the left. The fascists win 35 seats in the 1921 elections, whereas the socialists, who have just broken off with the communists, are losing seats. That year, Mussolini transforms his Fasci into the National Fascist Party. It will number 700,000 members by 1922. In October, Balbo convinces him to send his black shirts against the capital. The March on Rome looks more like a parade than an attack and could easily have been turned back by the army had only Victor Emmanuel III decided to sign the decree proclaiming a state of siege. The March on Rome becomes fascist legend, and on October 30th, the king receives Mussolini and asks him to form a new government. Mussolini, now president of the council, begins by respecting parliamentary rules as he creates the fascist militia in 1923. Then the fascist high council, the supreme state organism. More important, he implements a new law which automatically guarantees him a large majority in both the Senate and the House, over 65%. But in 1924, Matteotti, a socialist deputy who has made a violent speech against fascist manipulations and law-breaking, is assassinated. There's a tremendous scandal, and Mussolini almost loses his grip. Once again, he is saved by the king, who uses the occasion to reinforce his own power. By the end of 1925, the president of the council becomes Il Duce. He may now promulgate laws and decrees without even consulting his ministers. Parties are suppressed. A secret police is created. Violence becomes systematic. Freedom of the press is abolished. Dictatorship is taking over.
Benito Mussolini, em 1873-1945, nasceu na província de Forli, Itália, no dia de 29 de julho de 1833. Filho de Alessandro Mussolini, um ferreiro socialista, e Rosa Maltoni, professora primária. Em 1901, Mussolini formou-se professor da escola primária. Trabalhou como professor, mas seu interesse era a Revolução de 1902. Foi morar na Suíça, fugindo do serviço militar, mas suas atividades esquerdistas acabaram o expulsando do país. Principais características e ideais do fascismo. Totalitarismo. O sistema fascista era antidemocrático e concentrava poderes estatais nas mãos do líder de governo. Este líder podia tomar qualquer tipo de decisão ou decretar leis sem consultar políticos ou representantes da sociedade. Nacionalismo. Entre os fascistas, era a ideologia baseada na ideia de que só o que é do país tem valor. Valorização extrema da cultura do próprio país em detrimento das outras, que são consideradas inferiores. Militarismo. Alto investimento na produção de armas e equipamento de guerra, fortalecimento das forças armadas como forma de ganhar poder entre as outras nações, objetivo de expansão territorial ou através de guerras. Propaganda. Os líderes fascistas usavam os meios de comunicação, rádio, cinema, revistas e jornais, para divulgarem suas ideologias. Os discursos de Hitler eram constantemente transmitidos pela rádio. Essa parte não pode falar não, porque é de Hitler, tá ligado? Não, tá bom já.
Preguiçoso.
Tá bom.
In Germany, fascism is also born right after the war, mainly because of the humiliation of defeat. It begins with the idea that Germany could only have lost because she was undermined by an internal revolution. A socialist republic is formed after Wilhelm's abdication, but Karl Liebknecht, who wanted to import Marxism to Germany, and Rosa Luxemburg, who is a revolutionary, the Spartacist leaders, are assassinated during a week of violent fighting. The Weimar Republic is saved by an alliance with the army. Right from the beginning, the regime is condemned because it accepts the clauses of the Versailles Treaty, which German public opinion considers an outrage. Germany is on the brink of chaos. At this point, an unknown man is going to appear. His name is Adolf Hitler, and his troubled life resembles his turbulent times. He was born in Austria, near the German border, and he fails his art studies in Vienna, which at the time is a glowing example of culture and intelligence. He then begins to hate the Jews, of which there are many in Vienna. He's an antisocial vagrant, and in 1914 he's fascinated by his discovery of war and violence. He will live with both for over 30 years. He joins a tiny group in 1919 and renames it the German Workers' National Socialist Party. He imposes the swastika. He asks Röhm to organize a militia, the SA. Meanwhile, the situation is explosive in the demilitarized Ruhr region east of the Rhine. There are riots. In order to re-establish peace and in retaliation for non-payment of war debts outlined by the Versailles Treaty, the French occupy the area and answer the bomb attacks and passive resistance by deporting 150,000 persons, which incurs the wrath of the whole country. (1923) is a tragic year for Germany. The Depression is especially hard on the workers. Stockholders and retired persons are ruined. Inflation allows industrialists to carve out new empires. The mark is spiraling down. At the beginning of the year, $1 is worth 18,000 marks. By November, it is worth 8 million marks. Bad feelings increase. Rioting by the jobless multiply. The communists use the situation to amplify the violence of the demonstrations in an attempt to impose a workers' republic. The extreme right also uses the situation. Hitler provokes a revolt in a Munich beer cellar in November 1923. He is contained, arrested, and condemned to 5 years in prison. This is where he will write Mein Kampf, whose main premise is a single tragic idea. The world is a jungle where the strongest survive. The white races, especially the Aryans, are superior to all others, especially the Jews, who are a corruption of humanity and must be eliminated. Germans are destined to rule the world. This means war, first against the French, who are responsible for the defeat. All Hitler's thoughts are resumed in Mein Kampf. But when the book is published in 1925, no one will take it seriously. No one. In Italy, Mussolini consolidates fascist institutions. The idea is simple: control the population in every phase of its life to teach it proper conduct. Baby Italians are immediately included in an organization. By the age of 4, he is a son of the wolf, a tribute to Roman history. Then the child becomes a member of a Balidas, where he receives pre-military training. The motto is believe, obey, fight. And everyone has to wear the fascist uniform. The teenager is inducted into the avant-gardists and then joins the party. Verducci's idea is simple. I take the man in the crib and I let go of him when he dies, thus turning him over to the Pope. To prevent class conflict, a new social organization is created with a cooperative system that is a mixture of syndicalism and totalitarianism, grouping the workers, the bosses, state representatives, as well as fascist officials. Tremendous projects are created. Mussolini claims they will reduce unemployment.
Embora tenha entrado em crise após a Segunda Guerra Mundial, alguns aspectos de ideologias fascistas ainda estão presentes em alguns grupos e partidos políticos. Na Europa, por exemplo, existem partidos políticos que defendem plataformas baseadas na xenofobia, aversão a estrangeiros.
Os fascistas queriam que a Itália revivesse as glórias do Império Romano. Embora Itália e Alemanha tenham sido os exemplos mais nítidos de funcionamento do sistema fascista, em Portugal, governo de Salazar, e Espanha, governo de Francisco Franco, neste período, características fascistas se fizeram presentes.
Alguns aspectos de ideologia fascista ainda estão presentes em alguns grupos e partidos políticos. Na Europa, por exemplo, existem partidos políticos que defendiam...
Eu tenho que falar de novo, porque a gente falou na hora. Eu tenho que falar de novo essa parte. A gente falou na hora que tava aparecendo no notebook dele.
Então só corta.
Era só ele cortar essa parte, velho.
Mas se cortar a parte que ele tá falando.
Ele tá vai falar o fascismo na atualidade.
É, então.
Embora Itália e Alemanha tenham sido os exemplos mais nítidos do...
Não, volta.
Porra, trema.
Curiosidades. Embora a Itália e a Alemanha também...
Tá bom. Ô, velho, vocês...